I noticed a burn through on this paint. This is the perfect reason to use the jeweling pad and nothing else.
Yeah, but I can actually polish up this side with a 6-inch pad. And this is something people think, oh, I need a special machine to get in there. Not a problem. And you'll notice how a rotary works. It uses this outer edge to do most of the work. And when you don't use the trigger lock, it basically locks your wrist and your elbow. By using the trigger lock, now you have the flexibility.
Ivan, I'm looking at this hood. I think it's time for a 3-step correction.
Hi, I'm Ivan.
I'm Nick.
And this is DIY Detailing. No, Nick, we're not doing a 3-step correction on this. This car has been polished before, meaning that we have very minimal clear coat left. The other thing is this hood is carbon fiber. We can't tell how thick the paint is on it. And this is actually the worst part. The other parts of the car are actually fairly good. So we're going to enhance the paint. We're not going to correct the paint.
I like to be the voice of more and then have you kind of rein me in a little bit. The idea here is that, like, I see a ton of scratches on here. So
yeah,
the detailer's impulse, especially when you're first starting out, is let me get the wool pad out. Then let me get the second step with the foam. Then let me jewel it with the jeweling pad. And the reality is caution is usually the best route. Can you talk about, philosophy of when to choose the 3-step correction versus the 1-step?
In this case, this car gets rallycrossed. It goes out in the woods at a very high rate of speed and does all sorts of things. It's winter driven. So all these things combined make it that the paint is going to get scratched again. If we go all in and do a 3-stage paint correction and shave it down to the edge of its life, the next time he needs it polished, it won't happen, or it'll damage the paint or go through the paint. This is also a color that was only done on about 750 cars. So for the Subaru aficionados out there, you know exactly what this is. This is a very special color for Subaru. It's not the regular Subaru blue or World Rally blue. So this one is hyper blue, which is a very, very rare special color, meaning we don't want to go through this. If we go through this paint and a panel has to be repainted, that lowers the value of the car dramatically. We want to keep the factory paint as long as possible.
So I should take this paint correction light where I'm inspecting every little scratch and just put it on the cart and just trust the process here?
Trust the process. That's what we're going to be doing. We're doing the minimal amount of polishing, which means red pad on the rotary. We're going to jewel it up, make it shine, make it glossy. Yes, there will still be a few scratches here and there, and the owner's not concerned about the scratches. That's the other thing for you detailers out there. Ask the owner what they want, not what you want. What does the owner of the car want? And what does the owner of the car see? To him, he looks at this car and it's perfect already. He's wondering, what are we gonna do? Well, it's a friend of the channel, that's why he brought it to us. But at the same time, your customer, when they see that in their eyes it's perfect, you don't need to go that far. You don't need to satisfy your ego, you need to satisfy your customer.
I wanna satisfy the person watching this. Let's show them how it's done, Ivan. Communication is so critical when you're a detailer. But also I want to communicate how we do this by showing them the magic in action.
Now on this vehicle, we not only have paint, we also have a wrapped vinyl roof. So on the vinyl wrap, you also want to be very gentle on that. We can polish it. That's a question we get asked, but we're not going to be over polishing it. First thing we need to do is start with a clean, damp pad. Now I'm spraying more liquid into the pad than I normally would because I want to get it damp throughout. Then going to the pad washer, speed 1, because I'm using the rotary. And then speed 6 to get all the excess moisture out of the pad. Now my pad is nice and clean, damp, and I'm ready to apply the polish. One spray of the polish, and you see I've got a nice even distribution. Bring it back down to speed 1, and we start polishing. The nice thing about the waffle pad as well is you'll notice all these rather sharp contours here. The pad is easily getting in and around all this, making it easy for me to polish, but at the same time, we're gonna get a nice even result everywhere. Whoa, stop. Nick, you didn't wring your pad out enough. See all this splatter?
See, and that's the thing. We say that the gold standard polish doesn't sling. So
No.
what did I get wrong here?
Your pad is too wet.
Okay.
So you didn't spin it out on speed 6 long enough.
I've noticed that with the yellow and the wool, it does a pretty nice job with the way
Right.
that I spin it out. But does the red pad just hold on to more because it's thicker?
Right, the tight pore structure means that it holds onto the liquid a little more.
All right, so when you're cleaning your red pad, just spin it out a little longer.
Yeah, and wipe that off before it dries.
Okay.
Now, another thing about this pad, and we'll try to get the camera angle right here, but I can actually polish up this side with a 6-inch pad. And this is something that people think, oh, I need a special machine to get in there. Not a problem. The 6-inch pad affords me a better reach. The distance here with a 6-inch pad is a lot better than a 5-inch pad, meaning I can reach those areas quite easily, and at the same time, the bevel allows me to work it much better. On the black roof, it's vinyl, and that's why I'm getting black here. And you'll notice how a rotary works. It uses this outer edge to do most of the work. And as you go to the center, the pad is cleaner, because as this is rotating, the outside is going faster than the inside. There's more feet per second going here than there. They're both going at 800 RPM, but the outside at 800 RPM is traveling much further than the inside. That's why the pad gets progressively cleaner and cleaner as we go towards the center. The black staining is probably gonna stay after I wash it. Not a big deal. I'm cleaning the pad, there might be staining, and staining is different than dirt.
Ivan, if folks are stressing about, what am I really doing with the rotary?
Yeah.
What I love about this process is I'm not going after defects, so I almost think of it as almost like, this is just my chance to deep clean the paint.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing.
Yep.
We're deep cleaning, we are abrading slightly, so we are increasing the gloss, increasing the shine of the paint, and little micro scratching we are removing.
Right, but if you stress about removing something with the red pad, you'll just get more stressed, whereas
Oh, yeah.
if you just think of it as, I just want to make sure that I'm using my proper technique to kiss every surface, you know,
Yep.
at least 2 times, 2-3 passes, that means I'm going to be abrading it a little bit, right? I'm
Yes.
going to be cleaning it, and I'm going to prepare this paint not only to get it real shiny, but, you know, for the ceramic coating.
Yep.
So Ivan, I just started to use my Speed 1 rotary jeweling pad, and I noticed a burn through on this paint. So that's another reason, which I wish we would have seen this earlier, but it's kind of
Yeah.
hidden, right? I had my light up here, and I looked at it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the perfect reason to use the jeweling pad and nothing else.
Yeah, so this paint, yeah, definitely has been burned through before by a previous person polishing this. So we want to be careful and inspect the vehicle beforehand.
And again,
Oh, that was a very hidden spot.
Yeah.
Without that light there, you don't see it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So proceed with caution, folks.
this Emblem here, just using our little lug nut brush with a bit of rinseless on it to really work in those little cracks and crevices. Now you notice what I'm doing with the brush, I'm not leaving it full length, I'm actually holding it closer to the end of the bristles. That way I get a little stiffer action from the bristles. The brush is soft enough that it's not scratching anything, but at the same time, with the rinseless wash, it's removing what needs to be removed here. And any Subaru owner that has this badge knows how valuable it is, at least emotionally.
And I know Ivan loves to use the rotary for edge work into little nooks and crannies. I do too, but sometimes the best tool just to get all the little drops and crusty things on the corners of your mirror, I just put a little bit of gold standard polish on my microfiber towel, and I just agitate it in. No skill needed for this. You just kind of rub it all in, make sure you're getting those corners, and then I'll do my rinseless wash dampened towel, because that does tend to work super well. And what I was going after, it appears to be kind of etched into that glass there. I thought it was because the polish wasn't getting it with the rotary, but if you notice some of these streaks here, those look to be a little bit more permanent. But what we're getting here is just a lot of clarity. I don't really want to compound this glass. Those look very etched to me. I'm not sure what that is, but otherwise, that mirror is polished and clean. You see those etchings?
Yeah, you don't want to go after those.
Yeah, you don't want to go after those, right?
So you can see around the Subaru emblem how there's a lot of encrusted dirt. And it's not dirt, it's there. It needs a little more than just a wash mitt, which is what we washed it with yesterday. So let me get in here with the rinseless wash. And yes, when agitated, our rinseless wash foams a little bit. Now there may be a little residual credible suds on this brush from what I'm looking at, because that's a little too much for rinseless wash. I'll just do half so you can see the difference this makes. This is a case where the plush towel shines because those long fibers can get in there to dry this out. So it's improved, but still not to my liking. So we're gonna go a little heavier on it, but this time with all clean diluted 15:1. Let the all clean dwell for a second, and back at it with the brush. Now if you have a slightly stiffer brush, that would be good. I'm having to choke up on the brush a little bit just to try to get a bit of strength from these bristles. You don't want to brush so stiff that it scratches. Let's see how all clean helped. Much better, there's still a little bit there. I'll work it again and we'll get it right. So we're almost done. We have the front fender and the front bumper to do, and coming out great. Now, luckily on this side, there was no burn through. We got the backstory of the burn through from the owner. Unfortunately, it had a chemical spill on the other side of the car, and they tried to remove the chemical etching from polishing, and that's what happened. So thankfully, It just happened in a small area. But he's better to live with that little bit of burn through than to repaint the panel because of the unique color of the vehicle. In viewed from here, the door looks a lot glossier than that fender does.
So Ivan, I got into a little bit of hand polishing here on the spoiler.
Yeah.
I was using our red pad. I've seen you use a microfiber towel.
Yep.
Do you have any thoughts on, first of all, the idea that I would hand polish this instead of using a 3-inch polisher with a cone attachment or whatever, and then pad or microfiber?
Yeah, so I prefer a microfiber towel. It's a little more aggressive than the pad. The other thing is, a lot of areas where we can't get into polish, people can't get into scratch. The other aspect of this is even with a 3-inch polisher, between these two levels of the spoiler, you're not going to get in there anyways because it's too close together. So hand polishing is the only way.
It's super elaborate, and a couple of passes with the pad or the microfiber towel, whatever, this is looking great.
Right.
So I think we're ready to do what we do next, which is either panel prep or adhesion promoter polish, Ivan. And I know folks out there are here for a polishing video, but they may wonder, hey, I just want to apply a little protection like some wax, or maybe I want to coat it, or maybe, how to know what product to use after the polish.
If you're just waxing or using ceramic gloss or any sealant like that, just go for it after wiping off the gold standard polish. If you're ceramic coating, we want to ensure the best possible longevity and bond. That is done with C6 app. The panel prep does a great job, but we have it here, we have the app, we're gonna use the app. It's not much longer to apply the adhesion promoter polish than it is the coating.
Ivan, are you addicted to app?
I'm not addicted, but it's a technology that really works and really improves the look of a coating and the durability of a coating. So if we have it, we might as well use it.
Final thoughts on rotary polishing, Ivan. Speed 1, flat pad.
Yeah.
And this red pad
not a flat pad. Keep the pad flat, but use a waffle pad.
Ivan, you have thoughts on people who've used waffle pads, right?
Yes.
There's folks who've hated on the waffle pads, and then folks who've used them and adopt the waffle. You have a better saying for it.
Basically, there's two types of people: those who hate waffle pads and those who have used waffle pads.
Got it.
Yeah.
So when we do this right, we're cleaning it in the pad washer. We're really spinning it out because this one needs the extra spin. Just
right.
Unless you like fling, it's sling, and then you can clean it to your heart's desire. I found myself cleaning this more often than I thought I would need to.
Every section, never put clean polish on a dirty pad. So we want to make sure that the pad is clean because it is doing part of the job cleaning the paint. We saw what it did on the vinyl roof, how the pad just accumulated and lifted up that oxidized vinyl.
Is there anything to this? That with the yellow pad, I feel like I'm getting it to work longer, but with the red pad, I felt like I had to clean more often. Now, I clean the most often with wool. I guess I assumed this would be the least aggressive, so I'd clean the least often, but it felt like right in the middle between wool and the yellow waffle, which I feel like you could polish an entire car with one spray of polish.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's a thickness, but this I felt like needed to get cleaned a little bit more often.
A little more than the yellow pad.
It was getting kind of spent after what is there to know about that?
The tight pore structure does that.
The tight pore structure, okay.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else for folks? 'Cause I know you've been teaching rotary for a long time.
Yeah, don't hold on to the tool. People, one error they make is, first of all, they don't use the trigger lock. And when you don't use the trigger lock, it basically locks your wrist and your elbow. By using the trigger lock, now you have the flexibility. And you'll notice I normally hold it with these two fingers back here. I don't hold it like this. The less you hold on to it, the easier it is to maneuver and find that balance. And once you've found that balance, it's easy to do. On a flat surface, start the machine up, hold it, and then just with your fingers at the back, try to keep it steady. Once you've found that balance, that's great. Because if you lift up a little bit, it's gonna go one way. If you push down, it goes the other way. If you twist, it goes one way. If you twist, it goes the other way. But once you've found that equilibrium where it just stays without moving, just stays in one place, and you're just holding onto it with a couple fingers, then you have that aha moment. You know the feeling and the sound. You can replicate that throughout the whole vehicle.
And again, my thought is when you stop seeing those perfect half moons, when it starts to get a little spacey in your polish residue, when the polish feels a little grabby under the machine, it's time to clean the pad. And I found myself wanting to stretch it longer.
Yeah.
And I know you could hear it too, couldn't you?
Yeah.
You could hear it. He didn't say anything, but you could hear it when I was stretching it too long.
Yeah.
It was mostly on windows.
Yeah, don't try to stretch it. Take the couple seconds that it takes to wash the pad and move on. You're actually going to speed up the job by taking the time to clean the pad.
And you'll notice that if it's on plastic that you've just polished, that might gunk up your pad a little faster too. So if you happen to go over plastic or windows, they're different than your paint. And if you see something different, just trust it. Don't try to be like, well, I got this far on the last panel, but now I'm on a different substrate and it's not working the same, but I'll just keep it working. Again, it's just me trying to show them out there. If I went through it, you might be going through it too.
And where the pad actually got the dirtiest was the windshield. And that is somewhat normal. Now, we washed, we clayed, we used the decontamination towel, the iron remover on the windshield, and the water spot remover, but it's still the place where the pad got the dirtiest. If you're using sealants on your windshield, they accumulate over time. And some people in their windshield washer fluid, they have a windshield washer fluid with a sealant built in. That builds up over time. So by polishing it, the reason the polisher was grabby, you probably noticed it was grabby on the windshield, is because of those sealants.
I knew I noticed that, I didn't know the why.
Yeah.
But is there a mysterious way it could be that way on another window too?
It could be, but generally it's the windshield when people are using sealants or something on the windshield for hydrophobics. True coating on the windshield won't do that. But the sealants and the stuff you can buy at big box stores for making your windshield nice and slick, they tend to accumulate over time and they actually hold dirt. And you don't see it, it's not something you feel, but as soon as you polish the window, you'll see what happens.
The difference between using our yellow pad, our yellow waffle pad on the dual action machine versus the rotary with the jeweling pad. Both are one steps, both are billed as very mild.
Yeah.
When would I choose one over the other?
So the gold pad on the DA is going to give you more cut. Is going to remove more of the appearance of the scratches and stuff. The red pad is gloss, gloss, and more gloss.
And that's what we got here today.
Yeah.
I can't wait till we actually put adhesion promoter polish on this and actually coat it. But we're done polishing, right? The app isn't a polish?
Yeah, the app is not a polish. It's adhesion promoter polish, just like some people call a wax a polish, because it has a little bit of abrasive in it, not much, but at the same time, it's more the adhesion promoter part of it that we're talking about. And it promotes the adhesion. Your coating will be better, your coating will last longer. And if you want to learn more about C6 app, there's a video you should be watching, and it's right here.